A couple of months ago, we put out a highly contentious video with the nomad capitalist Andrew Henderson about his top 5 places to retire to in Europe. We had loads of people debating these countries and a lot of people saying that he's only worried about taxes. So we're going to give you our top 5 countries and why we chose them.
One we agree with him, but the rest we don't. So let's start with the country we agree with, which is Spain.
All right, so first up is the biggest pro, or one of the biggest pros, let's say, is cost of living. The cost of living in Spain is moderate, and we are talking about from an American or Canadian or maybe even British perspective, where the retirements are a bit higher because the salaries have been higher. So that's a huge, huge benefit.
Cost of living, yes. I think another pro would be weather, and not just because it's so hot in Spain, but because you actually have a variety. So you can have the heat in the south, or you can be more central, but also you can get it cool and windy and rainy, snowy even in the north. So actually Spain offers a lot of variety for weather.
A couple points that Andrew made in his video is he talked about the cafe culture, which Kalie is a huge fan of. And I agree with him. We used to live in Madrid, Spain, and although I don't know if we would go back to living in Madrid, Madrid kind of broke us in a way because it was such a fast pace of life. It was very hurried. Now, some people love it. I would say, in my opinion, Madrid is a young man's game. However, there are plenty of older people that are living in Madrid, Madrileños, the local population there, that are living there happily. But maybe as a foreigner entering that society, brand new to it, it could be a little more challenging. But other parts of Spain are phenomenal. People are super friendly. The cafe culture, it's very leisure. You can sit out, sip a coffee at a cafe, have a nooner, if you will, so an afternoon or noon beer. And that's awesome, and it's not very expensive.
I think it offers any type of pace of life that you want. So you're going to retire, so do you want a slower pace? Then there's cities for that. If you want a fast pace, then there's cities for that as well. So it does offer those. However, I think a con would be citizenship. It takes 10 years to apply for citizenship, and if you're a U.S. passport holder, you actually have to give up your U.S. passport to receive the Spanish. So you can't be a dual citizen of both. So that's a big con, I would say, if you're looking for citizenship.
And overall, the taxes are pretty high, and that's going to be a common theme throughout really all of the countries that we've chosen. However, there is one that has let's say a special benefit. But I think that the cool thing about Spain, that could be another pro, would be the language. Many Americans will have some sort of Spanish in their back pocket, whether it be like Spanish 101 from either high school or college. Which,
familiar,
okay, maybe won't help you so much living there, but it's at least familiar, like you said.
Yep.
The downside in terms of for English speakers is that they are moderate in terms of their English fluency. So trying to rely on English would be challenging.
Okay, so that's the one we agree with Andrew. Let's see the ones that we don't agree with.
Austria.
Now this one might surprise you because it's not as common as some of the other places. I think a lot of people are like, I'm looking for warm weather and beaches, but not everyone is. So if you're looking for something a little different, cooler weather, maybe you like snow, you like skiing, that type of lifestyle, then Austria could be for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Going back to the English proficiency thing, Austria has high levels of English proficiency. Although they do have kind of a lot of languages that are happening there. You've got Austrian, you've got German, English. So, yeah.
So they know a lot of languages.
Pick your language,
yeah.
right?
You could learn some fun ones, right?
Absolutely. Another key benefit to Austria that we found is safety. It's a super safe country in Europe and really globally. So if you're looking for a place that is safe and absolutely safe, then Austria is an awesome place.
And for your visa, it's okay because it's a moderate monthly income requirement that you need. It's not low, but it's not also high. So it's quite moderate and very doable for the retiree type visa.
Yep. And as far as the healthcare system there, they have high levels of healthcare. It's one of the top countries. So that's a massive pro for people that are moving that maybe they want to remain in very good health and be health conscientious, or someone who is concerned about their health and the healthcare system that they're moving into. Rest assured, Austria is top.
Now, earlier I said a pro was weather, but that might actually be a con for some of you. So if you don't want the cooler, snowy type weather, then this would not be the place for you.
So as we mentioned before with Spain, for Americans, you're not going to be able to have dual nationality here. You're not going to be able to acquire Austrian citizenship without giving up your US citizenship. So that could be a bit of a bummer, especially for people that are looking for the ability to have both their American passport and a European passport and have the travel rights and the freedoms to travel all across Europe any time of the year for as long as you would like.
Yeah, it can't happen. And then another con could potentially be the cost of living. So some of the other Mediterranean countries might have a better cost of living, lower prices on things. Costs are just going to be a little higher here in Austria.
But you still have a wide variety of places that you could live in Austria, although a lot of people would probably focus on the capital of Vienna. There are some smaller cities and towns that you could consider, just really depending on the pace of life that you want. Next up, France. The first thing I have to say about France is, wow, they have so many well-established cities that have great infrastructure and great culture, places that will likely be familiar to you. So I think France is a massive, massive plus in terms of this whole top 5 list.
Yes, it's a really, really good option to retire to, just live in general. The overall lifestyle is really nice. I mean, wine, who can't go wrong with that? But just the pace of life, I guess I would say, is a really nice pace, no matter what you want. If you want it to be a little faster or if you don't, it's just a really nice place that you could live.
It absolutely is. Now, for Americans and Canadians, you're probably familiar with the French language in our education system. I'm not going to say that our education system is great on teaching languages, but there's familiarity with it, and French is one of the easier languages for English speakers to learn, so that's a massive pro.
And if you're looking for good healthcare, then this is definitely a place to go because it is one of the top ones in Europe as well, like we mentioned with Austria. So they have really, really good healthcare if that's something that concerns you.
Yep. Rural living is also a fantastic option in a place like France. You're starting to see more and more YouTubers pop up that are going to France to live rurally.
And I think a lot of people romanticize France as well, so it's kind of fun to know that it is definitely doable.
Yeah.
Like if you think, oh, France, I could never live there. No, you actually can. And another cool thing is it's only 5 years to citizenship, so you actually can get your EU passport through France for 5 years, just being a resident there for 5 years, and you can keep your US one, so that's a plus as well.
The last plus I want to mention, and we said that we weren't going to talk about taxes, but this is the one that does have a special tax benefit to it for pensioners, for people that are retired, and this is a retirement video, so check out what those taxes might be like because they're not going to be taxed or shouldn't be taxed like regular income.
Now, unfortunately, a big con to think about is safety. For European standards, France is actually considered not very safe.
Yes, it is unsafe, and then also you're looking at maybe lower levels of English fluency. So if you have a hard time learning languages and you're going to try to rely on English, it might be a bit challenging in France. We always recommend that you try to learn the local language, but if you don't learn language as well, France could be challenging.
Next on our list, we of course would have to have Portugal. As many of you know, we live here, and that's not why it's on our list per se, but there are a lot of good pros to retiring here, one of them being the cost of living, and it is still very affordable. Of course, prices have gone up, but it is still very affordable to live here.
We get this question so often, people asking us, what's your favorite thing about Portugal? What do you love most about Portugal? And it's an easy answer, the people. We absolutely love the people here in Portugal, and that is a massive reason why we chose Portugal as the place that we wanted to move to.
I think you thought I was going to say it with you. I was going to let you.
I did. I was like,
no, it is definitely the people. I knew that's what you were going to say, but I didn't want to, step on your toes there. So we have the people, we have the cost of living. Another good thing is after 5 years, just like France, you can apply for citizenship and you don't have to give up your US passport, so you could hold both. So that's a perk. A con to that is they're really, really backed up with processing. So while it's good that you only have to be here 5 years, you won't get it in 5 years. It will take a little time for it to be processed.
Another pro is safety. Safety is one of the areas where Portugal ranks highest and globally and also in Europe. However, in more recent times, there are some safety concerns that are popping up, but overall, it is safe. So if you see in the news that recently there have been problems with safety, maybe a little bit higher crime rate is happening, but it's because the threshold is very low. Like there's not a lot of crime, so when stuff does happen, alarm bells ring.
Right. And one thing that's good is if you're going for the D7, which is the passive income, a lot of retirees go through this with pensions, 401ks, then the threshold is very low. So it's very, very doable just to get that visa. And then again, the cost of living is helpful as well with your pension or whatever you plan to retire on.
Yeah, because you're basically looking at minimum wage, and the minimum wage is one of the lowest in Europe. So it is a very, very low ceiling, if you will,
right.
or floor. I don't know if we would call it a ceiling or a floor. Now, Kalie earlier mentioned about the citizenship processing. This is a massive con. There are a lot of inefficiencies here in Portugal on the bureaucratic side, but then also things on the street. So for example, if you need to get the electricity turned on at a place, or you need to do anything where there's like a procedure done, it might take several times. It might take like 3 times to get that one thing done.
Yeah.
So there are bureaucratic inefficiencies all over the place.
And again, I know we said we wouldn't say much about taxes, this isn't a tax video, but something that is a bit of a bummer is they did away with their NHR, which was a good tax scheme, keeping the percentage lower. They did away with that. So when thinking about taxes, make sure you chat with someone about what a good option would be for you on your pension or your passive income in general.
Yeah, there used to be great benefits for retirees, and now unfortunately, at least for now, those are gone. Next up, the last country is Latvia.
Now, Latvia might surprise you. It's probably not on many lists, but we felt it was good to be on our list for a number of reasons. I think, again, going back to the weather, if you're interested in a place like Austria, then this type of weather will be cooler, give you that type of option rather than it being hot.
That was one of our criteria, to be honest, because we know not everybody is a warm weather, a beach goer. We actually have several friends here that are retired, and they want to escape the heat. And that's one of the reasons why they chose to live in Porto, where it's less hot than in the south of Portugal. But we're not talking about Portugal, we're talking about Latvia. Now, a massive pro is that it's one, or arguably one of the easiest visas in all of Europe to apply for. There's no need for an FBI background check or whatever state background check that you might have to get. If you're in Canada, provincial background check. So you don't have to do that. And then it also gives you the ability to stay part-time in other European countries.
Yeah, that's a big one that a lot of the other visas don't offer. A lot of them have stay requirements. So it's like you are a resident of this country, so you actually have to stay in that country. And Latvia offers a little more moving around. Also, you have a lower cost of living than a lot of places in Europe.
Yep, and it is also very affordable. It's the most affordable country, let's say overall, on this list that we have. Now, obviously, that's very location dependent because there are different smaller towns and cities that you could go to in the other countries we've mentioned. But overall, very affordable in Latvia. We spent some time in Riga not long ago, and what a cool, cultured city that is. The people were, let's say, getting into a bit of a con, the people weren't the warmest people in the world. However, Latvians are known, once you make friends and kind of break that initial barrier and get to know them, they are warm people, unlike maybe some other people in the Baltic area.
Right. And I guess another con, since we're on there, could be that it's a little further away than some of these other places. If you think of like France, it's easy to pop over to Spain, Portugal, Italy. Some of these places are a little closer. Whereas Latvia being further north, it's a little harder to get to some of these places, and it is closer to Russia with the conflict going on right now.
Yeah, I was going to say not to get too much into the geopolitical scene, but yeah, I think Russia makes some people feel uncomfortable, and being kind of right there, certainly now that Russia's at war, it could be a bit sticky or just feel awkward. All right, a couple more cons, and then we'll get to some honorable mentions. If you're planning on getting citizenship in Latvia, first you need to know that there's a 10-year period where you need to be a resident there, and then also Latvian language. You need a B1 level of Latvian language to get citizenship, and Latvian is a very unique language. So
yeah, that can't be easy.
Good luck.
Yeah, so if you're not really good with languages, or it's like I'm retiring, I don't want to put that much effort into getting a B1, then maybe Latvia wouldn't be a good option.
Okay, so on to the honorable mentions. The first one we want to mention would be Greece.
Right, and Andrew does mention this one as well. I think one con immediately that I think of is it gets really, really hot there. So while we've been trying to give a list with a mix of temperatures, weathers, climates, I guess you could say, Greece is hot. So if you want hot, that's okay, but...
Yeah, Greece could have easily made our list as well, but it's like we had to choose 5 and it didn't make the cut, so it didn't make the cut. And then the other one is?
Italy. I mean the food.
Basically, some of the similar reasons why we had to eliminate Greece is also why we have to eliminate Italy. We could only choose 5, so we chose our 5. Italy's awesome. We love visiting there.
Food's good, but didn't make the cut. If you're someone like Andrew and concerned with taxes, or you're curious to see what 5 he chose, then check out this video right here. You can also see a video where we compare taxes in some top European countries that should be on your radar. That's right here. Now, let's get moving.
Bye.